Hey guys, today I'm in Tables Handout 1. So yes, we are on a new unit today, but the main thing is anytime we do a new unit, you always want to start by just reading your directions on your handout. So our directions tell us on the handout that we're going to be centering the title. So we have to go up to the top, find our alignment section, click on our center align button, and then our directions tell us the top country's largest cities. Once we do that, we hit enter twice, and then it says to switch back to align left. Now on today's document, I'm going to show you why we switch back to align left here in a minute, but I'll wait just a moment. So it says on the menu bar, click on insert and scroll down to table, and then draw a table that is 2 columns by 5 rows. So we're going to go up to insert, table, and it says make it 2 columns by 5 rows. So first you need to understand what a column is. A column goes up and down. So that's 1 column by 5 rows. That's 2 columns by 5 rows. And here we have 3 columns by 5 rows. Our directions tell us to do 2 columns by 5 rows. So I'm going to click on that, and it'll pop up a table. Now you'll notice that the table that pops up is not the same size as the table that's being shown in the picture. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. I even put it in the directions. So it says in the directions, when the table appears, select all 10 cells with your mouse, right click and scroll down to table properties and click it. All right, so each of these little boxes are called our cells. So since there's 2 columns by 5 rows, we can do a simple math problem and figure out that there's 10 cells. So if we take our mouse and select all 10 cells and right click, our direction said we could scroll down to table properties and click it. So once we do that, the table properties dialog pops up. Now for some reason in a Google Doc, the cell padding is set to 0.069. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to change the default settings, but if we just simply type in 0 and press OK, you'll notice that our table now resembles what's in the picture. I'm going to backspace that extra little space there. I'm not for sure why it did that, but it's an easy fix. All right, so once we do that, we can simply type in our data. So we can type out country, city, Russia, Moscow, and Tokyo, Bangladesh, Dhaka, Nigeria, and Abuja. Now, that's all you have to do for drill 1. So the reason we switch it back to align left when we create the table, I'm going to show you what happens if you don't. If you leave center on and you go up to insert table, you make it 2 by 5. Well, they fixed that issue. It used to be that when you would create your table, all your cells would keep your center alignment. But since they fixed that issue, I guess we don't have to say it that way. I'm going to undo some of that stuff just so we get back to our regular data. So that is awesome. Last year, you had to make sure that you switched back to align left. So it's good to know that they are still updating Google Docs and fixing some of those common little issues. All right, so I'm going to scroll down to page 2. Now, page 2 shows us our next drill, and this may look like it's a lot of typing to do, but it's really not. I'm going to show you some awesome shortcuts with copying and pasting, and specifically copying and pasting in a table. So let's go ahead and look at the directions. It says center the title. So let's turn center on and type out Ronin Warrior DVDs. And you'll notice that we're not changing the font to 14 like we did in our tabs unit. We're not turning bold on. We're just keeping everything Times New Roman size 12, our little default settings. Even though we just saw that we could leave center on, I'm still going to switch it back to align left. That's just a habit for me. And it says to create a table that's 4 columns by 11 rows. So I'm going to do that really quick. Insert 4 columns and drag down with my mouse to get 11 rows. So when we do that, once again, it does not resemble the picture. So if we select all 44 cells, right click with our mouse, go down to table properties, we can change that cell padding to 0 and press OK, and it will shrink our table down. And it did it once again where it added like an extra line. So I'll just backspace that one out. We just need one blank line in between the title and the table. And then this is where we can start typing some of our information. So I'm going to type the first row of data: show title, DVD title, volume, number, and episodes. All right, so once I've done that, I'm going to type out the phrase Ronin Warriors, is the title of this show. And I'm going to take my mouse, select my information, copy it, and now I could right click and say paste. And I could do that, a bunch more times. But with tables, you can actually select the cells that you want your information to go into and right click and say paste, and it will paste it that many times for you. So it saves you a tremendous amount of time. So when you look at these tables sometimes and you see a lot of data, if it's repetitive data, you really only have to type it once, and you also only have to paste it once. So some of this stuff may look overwhelming at first, but it's really not. Now, when we get to our volume numbers and we have to type volume space 1, volume space 2, I want to show you a little technique where you take your mouse and you select even the space. So we've got volume and the space selected. We're going to copy that, and then we're going to select all 10 of these cells, right click and say paste. But now, because we did the space, when we go back to the first volume, we can type in a 1, hit our down arrow key, do a 2, down arrow key 3, down arrow key 4, down arrow key 5, down arrow key 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. If we wouldn't have copied that space, it would have been space 1, down arrow key, space 2, down arrow key. Sometimes even the smallest little detail like that can save you a little bit of time, a little bit of hassle. So that may be something that you want to do on your own document. Now, I know a lot of people hate typing parentheses. So if you want to copy and paste the parentheses, you can. I've seen people do that. Parentheses don't really bother me, so I'm probably just going to type these out. Don't worry about the size difference on the dash. I had a Microsoft Word document up. I had typed this information to create the picture. And I was not thinking that the dash is a different size in Microsoft Word when compared to Google Docs. So I'm just typing out my data. You might find it faster to copy and paste that. If you want to copy and paste it, there's nothing wrong with it. So feel free to do it that way. Then when you get to this column, you can just type out like the call, hit your down arrow key, rescue operations. Make sure you're hitting your down arrow key because if you hit enter inside of a table, the cells get larger. So you don't want to hit enter. You just want to hit your down arrow key, or you can even click with your mouse, whichever is easier. Where I've got my hands already on the keyboard, I find it a little faster to go ahead and use the down arrow key. You may like to use the mouse. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll let you decide which way you want to do it. But I think you will like the tables unit that we're going to start because it looks like a lot of typing, but there's a lot of copying and pasting sometimes. It does seem like we're focusing a lot on data lately, which is kind of true. Main thing is pretty soon, if you haven't already, you'll be taking your ACT. And the science section of the ACT is very data driven. So, one of the things that I try to do in digital literacy is to try to make you a little bit more competent at reading charts of data. So, like when you take the ACT, sometimes it'll say, look at the following table, which is just kind of like what we're learning about right now in this unit. And it'll say, analyze the data. So, hopefully, by focusing on learning how to create these tables, you'll become more familiar with them and you'll be better. You'll get better at reading them and understanding how tables are set up. So when you do go about taking the ACT later on, you'll just do better on your science section. But for today, guys, that's all you have to do for Tables Handout 1. So once again, thanks for watching, and just tune in tomorrow for your next walkthrough. Thanks.